That's a false equivalency. It could be a cute pet. No! I'm saying maybe her rat's cool. You don't know that the rat isn't cool. What the hell is the Motte and Bailey fallacy? What in the Undertale?
Welcome everyone, I'm Krief. I'm the creator of Fallacy Quiz, a game about rhetorical and logical fallacies, how to detect them. It's a quiz game, but I tried to make a really polished quiz game. And Northernlion played the game. I reacted on the easy and expert modes last time, but you were allowed to ask me to react to the extreme mode. I was not willing to react to that part because you have to know that the extreme mode was not supposed to be known. Like it's supposed to be a secret, but at this point, Northernlion made a video with 100k views on it, so it's not a secret anymore. So I'm like, yeah, if you want me to react to it, let's do it. So let's see what he has to say about the extreme mode.
In court after an airplane crash due to a technical malfunction. Here are the facts. The suspect was the one flying the plane, and in the end, 50 people died in the crash. That's true. Maybe there's other facts. That's cherry picking and there's other facts. That seems valid, man.
Okay, so that's a tricky part in Fallacy Quiz. A lot of people are saying it's true. Why wouldn't it be true? The thing is, when you start the game, you have an explanations on what fallacies are considered to be in this game. And there are two types of fallacies. You have formal fallacies, fallacies that you can read the sentence and in the sentence you see the logical issue. It's formal, it's explicit, and it's easy to detect. But you also have informal fallacies. It's what's implied that is a fallacy, not what's explicitly written in the sentence. For instance, here, I added context here to make that clear. After an airplane crash due to a technical malfunction. So what's implied when you say that the suspect was the one flying the plane and in the end 50 people died in the crash? Yes, it's true, but it's implied here that the suspect is the cause of the 50 people dying in the crash. It's implied in the construction of the sentence because you are completely ignoring the fact that there was a technical malfunction.
What you just said sounds a lot like a far-right talking point. I'm going to say that's guilt by association because we did that before.
That's funny because I both have far-right and the Soviets, I think, in the game for this exact sentence. And each side will come back to me and say, wait, this is not a fallacy, this is true. If someone talks like a Soviet, then there's something wrong, and it's normal to tell them that they're wrong for that. The thing is, if someone talks like a far-right or a Soviet, just say what's wrong with what they are saying. Don't say you talk like and something that's bad in the public view. Just say the argument, like argument on the matter. If, for instance, they are saying we should discriminate a particular part of the society, of people, then just say that's wrong. Don't say, hey, wait, that's far-right stuff. Just say, wait, you cannot discriminate a minority. You're wrong, you know? And the same for Soviet stuff. Like, don't say, hey, it's something Stalin would have done. Just say explicitly what's wrong with what they're saying. It's going to be more helpful when you try to explain to someone why what they are saying is wrong. And a bonus point is you might have a hard time finding what's wrong. And in that case, maybe you are the one that thinks, I don't know, something is a Soviet talking point when it's just common sense. Like, for instance, healthcare being taken in charge by the state, you know?
I'm someone who pays what I owe. No worries. I'll be able to pay you back tomorrow for sure. Appeal the consequences. Because if I didn't pay you back, I wouldn't be what I said I was. What?
Okay, so in the extreme mode of fallacy quiz, there's something different than in the other ones, and I explained that when you unlock the extreme mode, you have multiple possible solutions that could be correct, but what you have to select is the one that will fit the most, in my opinion. So that's why it's a secret experimental mode, because you have multiple choices that could work, and what's difficult is you have to select the one that feels like it will fit the most the situation, that the one that has the more impact in the sentence. It's a bit tricky, but that's why it's the extreme mode.
These cells lack unique features that could account for consciousness. Therefore, we must include that consciousness originates from beyond our physical realm. It's evidence for the existence of the soul. Fallacy of composition. An individual cell doesn't need to be conscious in order to create a whole that's conscious. Fuck you. I've beaten you in the marketplace of ideas. You were saying that women have always been paid less than men and conclude that we should continue doing so. You're making an appeal to tradition, which means that you are wrong.
Okay, so this one I hesitated a bit about putting it in a game, but it's a great way to trick people into answering the wrong one. Here he's doing it in extreme mode, so he doesn't have the valid option, but most people will say valid to that, because all the first part of the sentence, you are saying that women have always been paid less than men and conclude that we should continue doing so. You are making an appeal to tradition. All of that part is completely correct. So you are pushed to say that's valid, you know? But the trick is, then they say that means that you are wrong. And that part makes them use the fallacy. You shouldn't say that they are wrong because they use that. You can say that the argument is wrong, and then you can argument on your side and say, I think that women should have equal pay compared to men, based on not being discriminatory and being a decent human being, you know? But this sentence was made to trick people, thinking that detecting the fallacy is enough to say that someone's wrong.
Hey, whoa, hang on here, hang on. That's a fallacy, but I also think that you blew them out, so... Hey, just everybody relax, okay? They didn't give me valid as an option.
If you answer valid to that, you are saying valid for the argument of using a fallacy as an argument to say someone's wrong. And that's not valid, that's fallacious. I understand that's hard to see someone say that there's a fallacy in some things horrible someone say, and say to that person, you are using a fallacy. You shouldn't do that in your life, but that's a learning exercise here.
Go ahead and try it. Most people have tried smoking at some point in their lives. That's the appeal to common practice, people.
Yep.
That's the don't be a pussy fallacy.
I like the alternative names he finds for all the fallacies.
You want to improve at detecting fallacies by playing a quiz game, but even after hours of time played, you won't be able to detect all the fallacies in your daily life. It's pointless. Don't bother. That's a perfect solution fallacy, also known as moving the goalposts.
Let's go!
When you gain muscle, your weight on the scale often goes up too. I just checked my weight. I've gained some muscle. That's affirming the consequent. Which I got confused with denying the antecedent. I don't really...
Wait. He was pretty good on that one.
My uncle died in a plane crash, so planes are far too dangerous and we should stop using them altogether. Sorry, bud. Sorry for your loss, but that's cherry picking.
Okay, that's what I was saying earlier. It is a kind of cherry picking, but here it's based on something that happened to them or to someone close to them, so it falls into the anecdotal evidence that is a kind of cherry picking. So in the extreme mode, since anecdotal evidence is more precise than cherry picking, that's the one you're supposed to click. But the extreme mode makes it so that if it's an anecdotal evidence, you also will have the choice for cherry picking to mislead you, because I wanted this mode to be really hard.
When I was saying we should sink the humanitarian boats, what I was really saying is we should be able to control our borders. You can't call me a monster for this. That's an appeal to motive, people. That's a okay, this is one I was curious about. What the hell is the Motte and Bailey fallacy? What in the Undertale? I can't even go to the glossary because I'm in expert mode. I can't even, or extreme mode. I can't even learn anything. Yes, it's.
I had some fun with this. I was like, wait, in the extreme mode, I should prevent you from checking the glossary because it's the extreme mode. You shouldn't have any way of checking definitions and stuff like that. And I was like, wait, instead of removing the ability to check the glossary, I should let the ability to check the glossary, but then the glossary will be like, you are alone, and all the pages are you are alone. I had some fun with that.
It's probably the least bad, but.
And again, when he's saying, wait, I cannot learn because I'm using the expert mode. No, it's the extreme mode. It's an hidden mode that it's supposed to be secret, and you cannot to use it. You have to be in custom mode. So I'm having some fun with this mode, and if you want to learn, you can use all the other modes in the game. Plus, you can go back to the glossary at any time. The glossary, you can check that out of the game. There's a glossary where you don't have time. It's not in a quiz game. You can just flip the pages and look at all the fallacies you discovered. So yeah, you can do that. If he wants to, he can end this game, go back to the glossary, and check the Motte and Bailey fallacy.
Yes, it's probably the least bad, but electing this candidate won't put an end to all suffering. That's perfect solution fallacy.
I think it's beginning to be more and more obvious that voting for the least bad is a good thing. Maybe. Maybe some people might regret not voting for the least bad option. Based on recent events, if you know what I mean.
All the men I meet have only one thing in mind. All men are perverts. That's a hasty generalization, to be honest. There's some men aren't perverts, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Also, it's actually offensive to say that men only have one thing on their mind. I know the implication is that it's sex, but that's just part of the facet of the multitudes that men contain. There's also food. Food is a big one. I know that guy. He's a jerk, so what he says is false. That's appeal to spite. We take those.
I don't know if you noticed, but in extreme mode, I have some umbers and some orange tint, as if there was a fire going on in the background.
I keep seeing on TV people who receive aid without working, even bragging about it. Poor people are really lazy. That's not nice. That's a spotlight fallacy because you were using the television to come up with your opinion.
Yeah.
I played a custom game. We can get 15 out of 15 on extreme. I know I got it in me.
Okay, let's see.
Wait, Motte and Bailey is if you say insane shit, take it back later, and then have your slightly less insane take normalized. Oh, yes. Also known as the art of the deal. Okay. What would you rather have, a decent salary or a fulfilling job? I reject the premise. We can have both.
Yep.
My hero.
And that's what you're supposed to do when you have a false dilemma. You should say, no, I can have something else than the two options you're offering me. And okay, I have to say something. When you have a dilemma, it's not always a false dilemma. So be careful about that. Sometimes it's a real dilemma. Like if you lay down all the possible options, it can be just the dilemma. You have those options, you don't have other ones. A false dilemma is only when the laid down options are not the only ones, and you can give another option. There's another option that exists and it's not listed. That's the false dilemma. But don't forget that real dilemmas do exist.
The billionaire Damien. I'm sure he's your father, which would make you the son of a wealthy man, and yet you're asking for money? Prove to me he's not your dad. This is the plot of Joker. This is shifting the burden of proof. You made the statement, but I have to prove it? That doesn't make sense to me. In a recent survey involving 20,000 participants, we found that 95% of people using our phones are satisfied with it. That's a biased generalization, man.
He didn't even read the whole sentence.
No doubt. During an interview after a smear campaign. Hi, given everything we know now, would you say that you are a racist person? That seems like a bit of a loaded question, I'd say, personally.
Okay, you can laugh about this, but here in France, for instance, we actually have on the news people asking questions like that, and it's pretty annoying. Like they ask really loaded questions as if it was normal, and it's infuriating to hear. They are supposed to be journalists, you know. Like it really happens. That's what I'm trying to say. My question here, the question.
Bit of a loaded question. Everything we know now.
Given what we know now, will you say that you are a racist person? It's pretty much word for word what someone said to an elected person in France.
You don't want any cake? Everybody loves chocolate, though. That's an appeal to popular belief. Lots of people order attention by saying they don't like chocolate or pizza. You're complaining that he took all your lunch. What we'll do is he's going to give you one of the 2 sandwiches back, then you can make peace with him, okay? That's middle ground fallacy. If he stole 2 of my sandwiches, he needs to pay me back 3 in order for that to be fair. I'm not going to listen to what you say about the environment, knowing you work for a nuclear power company. That's the genetic fallacy. You're criticizing the source instead of the argument, which is valid, but invalid in this game.
Which is valid, but invalid in this game. It's valid for red flags. It's valid to take into account the source for red flags, for you to interpret what people are saying. But it's not valid to base your argument on. Like, this is the important, like, the subtlety of all of this. You can use biases like that as a way to detect red flags. And you should do that. But you cannot base your argument on those things, because then you're not using solid arguments.
Tobacco is just a plant. How could it harm you? That's an appeal to nature.
Good.
But it is valid, for sure. You're complaining when we leave the trash can out because it attracts rats. But tell me, isn't your daughter the one who has a pet rat? That's a false equivalency. It could be a cute pet. No! I'm saying maybe her rat's cool. You don't know that rat isn't cool. The person is proposing an increase of the retirement age while you want to keep it where it is. I'm neutral. Let's slightly increase it so everyone is happy. That's a middle ground. The Macron governing principle.
The Macron governing principle? Wait, he knows about French politics? I think he's from Canada, right? French people made a lot of noise about this, so it makes sense people will be aware of all of this. But yes, this question is directly based on
where it is.
French politics. In France, they increase the retirement age for no reason, because when you look at the accounts, the arguments they use to say we had to do it are completely wrong. Most people were against the decision, and they forced it upon the people. They did not vote for it. Like the elected people did not vote for it. It's just a choice of the government. They can do that for some reason, but we can also undo that quite easily just by changing the prime minister. Before, we thought that the prime minister had to represent the parliament, but it seems like Macron decided, no, I can choose whoever I want. We're talking a bit about politics, I guess. Even if the left won the election, like they have the most people in the parliament, Macron decided, no, I will not select a prime minister that is from this movement. So we are in a strange state right now in France, and I hope it will unlock. But maybe people should start voting for presidents that propose stuff that people want. I don't know.
The Macron governing principle.
That's so funny.
You're Canadian. Canadians speak French. Do you speak French? Valid. You're asking a question. Un petit peu. You want to end world?
Tu parles français, Northernlion? Du coup, peut-être on peut débattre ensemble.
World hunger? Oh, please. When do you plan on doing that? Next Tuesday? That to me seems like an appeal to ridicule.
Yep.
When tossing a coin, it is more likely to have 4 heads, then a tail, than to have 5 heads in a row. That's gambler's fallacy. That's
cool.
Tough. That was a tough one. This family is an institution that dates back to the Roman times. It must be preserved as is. That's an appeal to tradition.
Easy. Some people told me the extreme mode was easier than the expert mode because you don't have the valid option anymore. And yeah, the extreme mode was made last minute. I had all my friends were telling me, wait, when is the game coming out? And I was like, yes, it's supposed to come out pretty soon. But also, I could add an extreme mode in the game. So last minute, I was able to add more buttons as more options and to create a fire effect. At that point, I was like, maybe if I remove the valid options, it will be more confusing because you have to select between more fallacies. But then it removes, and I did not think about that, it removes the possibility in your mind, wait, this could be true, this could be a valid statement, so it removes some of the difficulty, and I did not think about that at the time. Because it's such a last minute thing that I added in a game. But yeah, I agree. I don't know if I will add it back, the valid option in this mode. I also have a secret mode, even more secret than this one, where you can have 8 possible options in here. You can have 8 ones. Maybe I could have 8 options and one of them being the valid one, and it's going to be even more difficult. I don't know.
They appointed a new minister. At last, the situation will improve. That's an appeal to novelty, people. Every one of you has fallen victim to this fallacy. Game has proven itself to be timeless entertainment. It's evergreen. It's always fun. But new game, different game, could be anything. It could even be as good as game, man. That being said, different game would hit pretty hard when being bored is the vibe. I used to answer all your messages in minutes. Now I can take days or weeks, but you're making such a big deal out of it. I swear absolutely nothing has changed in our relationship. Or it may be that you are getting possessive. That's an appeal to motive. No, it's an appeal to spite. It was a lie! How was it a lie?
Again, yeah, there is an appeal to motive in the sentence, but I think the worst fallacy in the sentence is the lie, and it was pretty hard to find ways to include lies in the game because usually lies are based on stuff that happened like days ago, and it's quite obvious when you have lies in the sentence you're saying. But I had to create sentences with lies in them, and I think I did a good job to hide the lies so that it's not obvious that they are lies. If we go back to the sentence to see where's the lie, I used to answer to all your messages in minutes. Now I can take days or weeks to answer. But you are making such a big deal out of it. I swear absolutely nothing changed in our relationship. Or it may be that you are getting possessive. So here the lie is, nothing changed in our relationship. If someone used to answer to you in minutes and now it can take days to answer, you cannot say that nothing changed in the relationship. They decided to stop answering to your message in minutes. And it's a choice, and something changed, and then you have to explain why it happened. Like, it's so crazy that some people do that to you, and they make you feel bad about asking what's happening. If you need some time in your life, there's no issue with that. You can just say, hey, I'm not available right now. But you have to be upfront about it, and just saying you are getting possessive for asking why I'm not answering to the message, that's pretty crazy to me. Is the chat
Clearly
going to
something
answer?
changed, but how could I know? How could I know that?
What?
All I know is what they told me.
Yeah, in the sentence.
You heard me say we should check everyone's backpack when leaving the store, and now you're accusing me of not respecting people's privacy? But it's just a quick glance, and it's not everyone. Just those who look suspicious. That's Motte and Bailey fallacy. You bait and switched me.
Good.
Chat taught me that one.
Good.
That's an appeal to flattery. You made a stupid
Nice.
argument, but then said I'm hot. Also valid. Appeal to flattery might be one of the best fallacies. It's one of the ones I'd love to be tricked by the most. If raw materials increase in price, then the product's price must also go up. That's false. You're affirming the consequent or denying the antecedent. You're denying the antecedent. There's other reasons it could go up. Demand for chocolate cake could be through the roof because people have low blood sugar. Fuck you, bitch! It's the same thing. Affirming the consequent and denying the antecedent are the same thing. Fuck you.
Okay, yes, they look alike. Yeah. And see, in extreme mode, I make sure if the answer is affirming the consequent or denying the antecedent, I make sure that you have both options to trick you.
While turning down their plate of spinach.
Someone told me there was an issue in this sentence. Wait, can I check? Where's my phone? Okay, I lost my phone. What? What? Why is it here? Someone told me spinach is not written like that. Sorry. Yeah, spinach is not written like that. And yeah, thank you very much for all the people in the previous video who left comments to help me to comment on some typos, or even when I asked question about UI, a lot of people had suggestions. So thank you very much for all the comments. I liked it a lot.
Yes, I want to abolish the police. How would we stop criminals? Wait, I didn't say there wouldn't be some armed officials. That's a Motte and Bailey fallacy, bro. You bait and switched.
Nice! That's so cool. That's so cool. He didn't know at all what the Motte and Bailey fallacy was, and now he's able to detect it really easily. I'm pretty happy with that.
You're being interviewed after supporting a peaceful demonstration. There was some unrest on the outskirts of the demonstration. You're partly responsible for those violent riots happening in the streets. Lie. Well, it's a loaded question, but it's also a lie. How am I if I didn't do this shit, how am I responsible for the shit, man?
Yeah.
You got me confused with some other motherfuckers.
Yeah, see, that's why, okay.
You didn't read the whole...
See, that's why the extreme mode is experimental and secret. Like, yeah, I agree that it's debatable here. I think that the most important in this statement was that it was a loaded question, but you can also see that as a lie. and they are not wrong. Like the two different ones can be correct. So that's what extreme mode is, a bit experimental.
You got a bad grade on your test. Can you tell me why you didn't study at all? That's jumping to conclusions. I might just be stupid. Loaded question.
Yeah, this one, okay. This one, I think it's more obvious that it's the loaded question that's important here. Can you tell me why you didn't study at all? They are jumping to conclusion, but they are using a question loaded with the jump to conclusion to attack, you know?
Yeah, you might have seen me steal this money, but trust me, it's not true. Lie.
Okay.
He told me it was a lie in the question.
Yeah, this one is pretty obvious. I have to have some obvious ones, you know? For the other ones, I try to be tricky.
Many people online have criticized his last work, but those criticisms are just comments on the internet. They're not worth considering. That's valid. It is also a genetic fallacy because you're criticizing the source instead of the argument, but that is valid if you want to maintain some degree of sanity.
Yes. Okay, that's true. If you want to retain some degree of sanity, you have to ignore most of the comments online. That's true. I cannot deny that. But for forming your argument, you cannot use that as an argument. But for your own sanity, you have to ignore most comments online.
If we ban people from carrying a knife, that's a slippery slope.
He did not read any of the sentence.
I don't even need to read.
Okay, that's so good.
If we don't do something about this, your children might start wanting to change their gender. That's an appeal to fear.
Appeal to fear was really hard to include in the game because we don't know the fear of the person playing the game. I don't know what your fear is, and I don't have the pretty easy way to include the context about what the fear of the person is. So I use the current fear-mongering campaign of the moment, you know, about gender identity. People are far-right people and stuff like that are trying to create fear-mongering campaigns about that. So I use that as the fear. That doesn't mean it should be a fear, and that was pretty hard to handle. Maybe I will add some context, but if you add context, then it becomes obvious. That's what's so hard in this game while making this game. If I add context to any of those questions, most of them they become completely obvious because the context I add contains exactly what's needed to understand what was the fallacy. So I have to imply the context so that you have to think about what will be the context that could make it a fallacy. And yeah, finding the right amount of context to give for the answer to make sense, but also for the answer to be a bit tricky to find was really hard. I think the point we have here is pretty good, but some questions have too much context. Some of them don't have enough. It's tricky, and I think I agree with you on some of the sentences having not enough context, but most of it is by design, and I cannot really change that for most of the sentences. If I do, the game will not have enough challenge, in my opinion.
We never put diced tomatoes in guacamole, therefore we shouldn't do it. That's an appeal to tradition, bro. I didn't even have to read the options to know. I started this debate saying my problem with immigration was the financial burden on the country, and I'll admit you convinced me the impact on finances is actually a net positive. But there's plenty of other problems with immigration, don't you know? All right, that's moving the goalposts. You got blown out, and now you're like, well, it didn't change my opinion. You got blown.
Oh wait, you cannot see because I'm hiding it, but they completed the glossary. They just unlocked the achievement, complete glossary. That's pretty nice. So that means that they discovered all the types of fallacies in the game. Do I have an extra space in the sentence here? Just before not? How many times will I have to proofread all the sentences? Okay, I have to correct that. Next update will have a lot of typos corrected. It will also have a lot of features in the next update. I can't wait to share. I have new modes that I worked on. Maybe next month I'll publish the update.
That may be true according to you, but not according to me.
Okay. Wait, that's one easy.
Appeal
No.
to-
Why? Why would you just choose appeal to spite? That may be true according to you, but not according to me. That's a relativist fallacy.
Appeal to spite? Relativist?
No. One of them has to be the good explanation, you know? There's no relativism in something being true.
I'm telling you the highest mountain is Mount Blanc at 4,800 meters high. What? Everest is 8,800 meters? But no, if we're looking at the biggest mountain in Europe, you move the goalpost, buddy. The bet exists. Good. Hang on, I'm gonna go try multiplayer because I think we're kind of reaching the end of... I basically am saying I've learned about all the fallacies. I'm thinking, let's...
Wait, there's no multiplayer. You have to have, like, it's local multiplayer.
Let's just see if this puts my IP address on this. Oh, it's only local multiplayer.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Hey, come on over. I got some new games to play. Oh, all right, well, you better not, your horny ass better not put on fallacy quiz again.
Okay, more seriously, yes, there's a local multiplayer mode in Fallacy Quiz, and yeah, people who played it, in local multiplayer, there is no timer by default. You can enable it using the custom mode, but the normal mode, there's no timer, so people can take time to discuss about the sentences, and it's a great way to create discussions about topics. It's pretty hard to have people talk about some high-level topics or stuff like that. So it's a pretty cool game mode. In the future update I will publish, I will have different modes for local multiplayer, because right now the scoring is not that good. But in the future I will have 3 different ways of scoring the multiplayer mode. But yeah, no, there's no online multiplayer mode. How would online multiplayer mode work for Fallacy Quiz? I don't know. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you liked the game, you can get the game on Steam or on itch.io, and there will be an update maybe in the next month or so. And you can also subscribe to that channel for my future videos about my future projects. Thank you very much for watching, and see you around. Bye, and thanks again, Northernlion, for trying this game. Thank you very much.